Yeah.
Thank you. Gil Tamari, Channel 13 Israel. I would like to follow up on one of my colleague questions. The Prime Minister said today that Israel will continue to hold the territory in the buffer zone until there will be a government force in Syria that will be able to oblige to the 1974 agreement. And as you may know, this might take years. So I would like to know if the United States is satisfied with the long-term Israeli possession of the buffer zone, and also is the G7 statement relay also to Israel when it talking about the territory of Syria. And I know you cannot take us into the negotiation regarding the hostage, but can you give us the feeling? What makes you this time a little bit more optimistic? I know you hate to use the word hopeful, but what makes you this time a little bit more optimistic?
So first on the question of Israel's move into that border zone in Syria, this is a fluid situation, fast moving. I would submit that everyone in this room, both sitting in these chairs and behind the cameras, was not thinking about the fall of Assad 1 month ago. So that's how fast things are moving. What Israel saw was an immediate threat. The collapse of a structure that had been in place for a long time, and the potential for that vacuum to be filled by a direct proximate threat right across its border. So it moved in to fill that threat. That, from the United States' perspective, is logical and consistent with Israel's right to self-defense. How this plays from here, we are a few days into this. So we will stay in close consultation with our Israeli partners, as well as with stakeholders in Syria, as well as with stakeholders across the region, and we will develop and elaborate a perspective on the best way forward in a coordinated way. And I just can't sit here today and begin projecting out years into the future, given that just days ago Assad still sat in Damascus. With respect to why there is more optimism in the air, shall we say, I think it's partly for the reason that I laid out, which is I do believe the ceasefire in Lebanon has generated a different context. I actually believe that the loss of Iran's client state in Syria has contributed to that different context. Israel's military progress against Hamas's infrastructure, formations, and senior leaders has contributed to that context. So the surround sound of these negotiations is different today than it has been in the past. And then the other point is that the people involved in these negotiations seem to me to have a little bit of a different feel about things than they did before. That's less measurable, but I think still present. And so no, I'm not referring to the Prime Minister. I'm not referring to the Prime Minister. So those are the reasons why. But look, we have been in a place before where American officials have stood before podiums and said we are close, and we were close, but we didn't get there. I believe we are close again. Will we get there? It is not yet clear whether we will or we won't, but we are determined to try to drive this across the finish line. I'll take